Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It is me, Rich, here on a victorious Sunday, an away win for Aston Villa against Brighton, going into the World Cup break on a high. Two wins out of two in the league for Unai Emery. What a time to be a Villa fan! Absolutely fantastic. I'm on my own for the time being. Kev is going to join and potentially Sam as well, but I couldn't keep you guys waiting any longer. Before we get going into the show, as always, got some great numbers watching already. Get in with your comments. I'll get reading comments out as we go. But as always, please leave a like on the video. Please drop us a subscribe. We are up to almost 650 subscribers, which is fantastic, on the road to 1,000. So yeah, please drop us a subscribe. We're going to get into the game. Character, shithousery, fouls, game management, changing tactics, spoiling tactics, you name it, was on display today. We came back to win a game from going a goal down, which we do not do. We had two goals from one of our strikers, which we do not do. And we won away from home the first time since May. So yeah, fantastic. We're going to get into all that. We're going to get into your comments, man of the match, go through the stats, talk player performances, talk Unai Emery. So anything you want to talk about, please, please get in your comments. We've got people joining us already. T1, about time. I thought I was late. Up the Villa. She was waiting for the show. Thank you for joining us. Duncan is on. Great performance today. Ings and Kamara in particular. Buendia was good too. Yeah, fantastic performances from them. Worked really, really hard. We'll get into the hard work that the players put in, and already we're seeing players covering lots and lots of ground, players putting challenges in, pressing high. Um, Slightly risky football, but you've got to take risks to get results, and that's what we're doing at the moment. Habs is in the house. Boom. Unai masterclass once again. Absolutely. Rachel, up the Villa, everyone. And thanks for joining us, Rachel. T1, touch that like button as you come in. Yes, absolutely. Get that like button hit. Rachel and T1 in the house, both saying hello to each other. Gary, whenever, do all of those things. Rich, absolutely. Yeah, it's all coming at once. It's like buses. Willie, hi mate, love the show. It's just a pity too we have to stop for this World Cup, but I must say, how good does it feel to have a manager who cares? Yeah, we'll get into that. I think one of the points off I don't know if you've listened to his post-match interview with Villa TV, but I think one of the PR failures of Steven Gerrard was not saying thank you to the fans. And I think the first thing that Emery did today was say how good the fans were. And that is only going to do himself lots and lots of favours with the Villa supporters. So, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It shows. And, the tactical changes, the kicking every ball, all of that stuff that's coming through is so, so positive. Rod, perfect result before the corrupt World Cup break. Yeah, and is it coming at the right time? Is it the wrong time? You guys let me know. On one hand, it gives him time to work with the players, get his philosophy. There's not too many players that are going out on international duty, so does that really help? Or is it momentum killing? We've just won back-to-back games. If we look at our previous form as well, before he came in, obviously we got that great win against Brighton before losing to Newcastle, but 3 wins from 4 league games isn't bad form at all. So is that the wrong time for us? I don't know. I would lean towards the first, but yeah, let us know what you think. Barry, 7 Yellows showed how we use the dark arts. Love it. Yeah, I've been calling for that, and Kev's backstage. He's going to come in, and one of the first questions I'll throw at him is, we've been waiting for this. Like, how many times have Villa played games against teams who've just gone round the roulette wheel of just getting yellow cards against us and end up killing the game and winning it? It was about time that we showed that we could do that. Ashley Young getting a yellow card, McGinn getting a yellow card, Martinez getting a yellow card, Mings getting a yellow card, all just to spoil the game. And how good is it when you've got sour Brighton fans, moaning about us time wasting, moaning about us fouling? that's what you want away from home. That's the perfect win. So yeah, getting those yellows is great. Right, let's get him in. Kev, thank you so much for joining, mate. I
Mate,
knew you'd miss it. I knew you couldn't miss it.
Mate, it's been so hard. For those that are maybe interested in why I've been off for a bit recently. First of all, I miss you all, particularly the banter. And B, I've moved and I can't get Wi-Fi for not these companies are like now for a month. So I didn't even watch the game today. I watched as much as I could on my phone via Sky Go. So honestly, you're gonna have to tell me more than I actually saw myself. I think, but yeah, I've seen enough to be able to talk about it. I think so. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I was literally just talking, and we'll go through like sort of chronologically, but I was just talking in general about, kind of winning from going behind, shithousery, time wasting, getting yellow cards, managing the game. How many times on this podcast have we talked about winning the game, as Barry said there, using the dark arts?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because I'm sure, like a lot of Villa fans, have been so used to watching Villa over the years be frustrated and annoyed, like Brighton fans were clearly today on Twitter when I had a quick look. Um, I remember playing Watford. I think it was Watford last season when Watford were obviously terrible and still beat us. Did they beat us at home? Was it 2-1? Wasn't
They
it? They
beat
beat us.
us. No, they did the double over us last season. First
Yeah,
game of the season,
3-2. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they beat us 1-0.
1-0. And that game was so frustrating. The amount of times their players are going down with an injury, in inverted commas, and then like wasting time and slowing the game down. And you sat there in the crowd thinking, this is not good enough. And I'm sure Brighton were thinking today, we're a top 8 team. De Zerbi's in, back of Potter's good work. We've had some great wins lately. We'll beat this Villa team, new manager. And we, from what I saw, were very, very effective at frustrating Brighton. And that is, I don't know whether that's something which is down to a foreign manager, because we weren't great under Gerrard, we weren't great under Dean Smith at doing it. Didn't seem to be good under Steve Bruce. It's maybe a bit more of a continental gamesmanship, should you call it, where
Hmm.
you're just being tactical and clever within the laws of the game. And if it's legal and other teams are going to do it to us, then it's high time we got at least the same level as other teams to be able to get over the line today in games like this, which we normally wouldn't have won.
Yeah, and fine well, Brighton would have been doing it if they'd have still been winning 1-0. Fine well they would have done it. So
Yeah.
yeah, why not? Why not? It's got to be done. So yeah, let's go to starting lineup, mate. I don't know how much you knew about the lineup beforehand, but we were obviously talking in the group about various rumors of
Mhm.
players not making it, players not traveling. And there was some truth in it. Obviously Watkins and Bailey were ill prior to the
Yeah.
game yesterday. Watkins obviously didn't travel. Bailey was only fit enough for the bench. So yeah, team Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Mings, and Luca Dean, Ramsey and Kamara, Louise, McGinn, and then Buendia just behind Ings. What were your thoughts on that starting lineup initially?
Well, I thought it was a shame Bailey wasn't in, because obviously he's been as good as he's ever been for us lately. So and if it wasn't for Watkins' horrendous touch, we might have got a win the other night, and that would have been a real roll, wouldn't it? But anyway, old news on that. But
Hmm.
disappointed on that, and obviously Watkins had been a lot better. I think with Watkins, I'm sure a lot of Villa fans share the same sentiment. He's been very, very, very frustrating the last year or so. But the Ollie Watkins that we got to love under Dean Smith initially, I thought he was great. He was battling.
Hmm.
He was tough. He was scoring. He might have had a few chances, but yeah, to get was it 16 in his first season and double figures in his second? I think you've
Yeah,
got a real player
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So those two were probably arguably as big a miss as anybody you could think, and yet you're thinking how's Ings going to do? I think he's got a pretty good record against Brighton, Ings, from what I've heard. But how's he going to do? Buendia starting again, being that sort of main in the main role I think he'd like to play, in the number 10 role, and McGinn back in. I thought, well, let's see,
Hmm.
let's see how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And McGinn, me and George were on a Thursday night, and a couple of the players, you could tell they were blowing after sort of 65, 70 minutes, having maybe not played too much over that time period. But sometimes that 90 minutes to get a game under your belt, I'm talking particularly Kamara and McGinn here, did them some good. Had to have done them some good. You've got to get some game time under your belt, haven't you?
Absolutely, and that's the thing about when you're going through all those yellow cards. I did see the obviously the booking count we had earlier, but when you've got a quality squad and a squad that's able to compete and people on the bench that are good, that's the reason you have it. Because every now and then you do need to swap one of your midfielders or one of your fullbacks, so it shouldn't be an issue. And these players need to be ready to come into the team and play. But of course, if you've been playing a fairly settled-ish team, then those players that don't get a game, how do they react when they come in? So yeah, I think it was good to see, particularly after the start we had as well, the response that they showed.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into that start, because whether it's unfortunate or fortunate, and getting lots of comments here, I asked the question about kind of, is it better for us to have time away, or to work under Emery, or is it better to keep the momentum going? But I think the general opinion is from Rod is that it's good time, good training time. Rachel said, give Emery some positive and constructive time with the squad. And why I say that is because the start of the game highlighted the fact that Emery is going to want us to play out from the back. He's going to want to use the goalkeeper as a pivot to play off. And obviously it happened on Thursday night with Olsen. It also happened inside the first minute with Martinez passing the ball to Louise, who gives it away, and then Alexis McAllister puts it in, and after 50 seconds, you're thinking, "Oh
Jesus.
My word, here we go again."
Well, to use a cricket analogy, being that it's such a great day for those that support England,
Yeah.
And particularly Chris Wokes, I've seen in the comments, he must be very pleased today. It's when you've got a night watchman in a test match, and the night watchman, gets a couple of fours and maybe smashes a six off a spinner. You don't really want to keep the night watchman in all of the next day. Sometimes you've got to take the break when it comes. And I think that normally you'd want to keep momentum in football. You want to keep a winning run. I don't think it's good for Newcastle, for example, to have this break, because they've been absolutely unbelievable. But for Villa, he's had 2 league games. He's got 2 wins, despite it not all being perfect, particularly elements of today from what I saw. Obviously, the League Cup game wasn't great. There was, some of the old mistakes there. To get into this break, beating Brighton and Man United, and all of the wins that come from that, first win over Man United in 27 years at home. First time Brighton have lost a game when they've gone ahead for over 20 Premier League games. First time we've won away this season. All those different stats. To get those 6 points in the bag, to get us in comfortable mid-table, and then to get this break with majority of the squad still being there, because not many of them got picked, I don't think he could have written a better script for himself to go now to moving this club forward.
Yeah, and you've got to think that players are going to get used to that kind of playing out from the back, options to, if one pass is blocked off, another pass will open up, or a bit of rotation in midfield to create a bit of space. You've got to think that those things are going to be worked on, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. From what we could see, this is the really exciting thing for me, being a Villa fan. And of course, we get excited about any manager, and we got a bounce in the Gerrard, but you saw what happened in that very first game when he had maybe 3 or 4 days with the players against Man United. You saw it's sort of a bit of an idea and a plan and tactical nous. With the subs that he made, with the way that he changed players' positions. We obviously spoke about Den Donker being man mark at one point and almost playing in a bit of a 10 role at one point, and loads of other things that he did. Rotating the fullbacks in the game when normally they just play the whole game, but he realises this is a key position. There's a lot of energy there. You might get caught out in wide positions. Why not bring the fullbacks on? We saw that after 3 or 4 days. We saw a real have-a-go performance away at Man United, and we've seen this performance today. What could he do in 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks?
Exactly, and that's that. I guess that's the exciting thing, and that's what you, I suppose, get with a manager of this pedigree. And look, we aren't getting too excited. We're not getting carried away, too early. Like I say, previous managers, the most recent manager came in and did very well in his first couple of games last season. But yeah, you certainly feel like there's a buy-in. There's players that are kind of really understanding what to do, really sort of understanding to dig in and get and get the result, so to speak. And 9 points from a possible 12 is good form at the end of the day.
It really is. It really is. I don't think you can argue that at all. And it goes to show that this is a good squad, good squad of players. If they are coached to the level they could be coached to with additions, it could be a really, really impressive team moving forward. A long way to go with that, of course.
Yeah.
I did wonder whether, obviously, I think Brighton have got, was it 7 of that starting team are going to the World Cup? Was it something like that?
Yeah. Obviously, they've got lots and lots of different teams covered through their side. So yeah. I mean, they play some good stuff. They've got some good players, but I just think we just did a great job containing them. But yeah, I take your point. Are they gonna suffer from having 7 of their kind of starting 11 out at the World Cup? I mean, how far a lot of their teams players will go, I'm not too sure.
I know, but I just did wonder, did some of them have half an eye on Qatar?
Maybe, yeah,
Half an eye,
maybe.
Do I want to give it absolutely everything today and tweak my hamstring a week before? You've got, I mean, Trossard, Caicedo, McAllister. I think a lot of them are going to be there, aren't there? A lot of them. So, I mean, I don't want to say that against professionals. You like to think people always try their best, but it would only be inevitable once every 4 years you get a World Cup, and there's no guarantee some of those players will be in the squad next time around. Maybe they were not quite their absolute everything today. Possibly might have helped us.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. When we talk a little on Brighton shortly, but I guess the other thing was they obviously had that goal. They started quite well. We then grew into the game, and I think our formation started to cause them problems. I think before the goal, I think there was some good play and a good chance for Danny Ings, that he hit a shot and it deflected over the bar for a corner, and we were piercing the lines, and obviously the penalty comes through a reverse pass, straight pass, and a diagonal run, which again I've talked about so many times. You can't play straight passes and straight runs. You've got to play if you play a straight ball, you've got to have a diagonal run, or vice versa. And exactly right. McGinn runs across, great little run, pushes the ball, gets in front of Lewis Dunk, and Stonewall penalty. And I mean, I was watching it with my dad, and I was like, "How is he even moaning that that's not a penalty?"
I know. I couldn't believe it. It was just obvious, wasn't it? It was obvious. Well, they're
But
probably
yeah, I mean, but the play from Buendia and McGinn was excellent.
Well, that's what Buendia is in the team for, isn't he? That's what we don't see enough of. We talk about him getting knocked off the board enough, but he does create a lot of chances. I saw actually, a highlights reel someone put on Twitter the other day, Buendia, and it makes me realise that there's a number of times when he's playing accurate first-time passes, offensive moves, trying to create stuff, and often we just haven't got the runners either on the end of those balls, or we haven't got the finishing prowess to finish them off. So It was great to see today that it got us a win. And if he keeps playing like that, I think he'll grow more and more into it. I think he really think he will. He's had a taste of international football with Argentina, and he's obviously not made this squad, so it's crunch time now. But he could finish the season really strong one day.
Yeah, I mean, just before we touch on the penalty and sort of Danny Ings on Buendia, I think what's noticeable to see is that now maybe it's because there's 1 or 2 players on the bench and Emery's not afraid to use them, but I get the impression that Emery's told Buendia not to leave anything on the pitch, like just give everything for 65, 70 minutes, and then I'll replace you with someone else. Like just do all of your work that you can in that time period, because he was all over the place in the first half in particular, and he's got to keep that intensity up, because of in the situation today we weren't particularly big up front, but what we could do is we could pressure, harry, try and win the ball in dangerous areas, get us up the pitch, and that's exactly what he did, and that was really pleasing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is this: if you are a small team, like elements of a lot of Man City's team over the years have not been huge players. Barcelona's famous tiki-taka team, and particularly obviously Guardiola as well, were not big players, but their movement was unbelievable and their work rate was unbelievable. If you're going to have a smaller, more technical type of player, you need to be tactically flexible for that to work. And what we were doing with a small team, putting it wide, putting aimless crosses in the box, just wasn't going to get you anywhere. When we're breaking at speed, when we're doing good in quick interplay, when we're sliding balls, as you say, not a straight ball for a straight run, it's brilliant. I mean, there was needed that obviously that cutback as well, wasn't there? That who was it? Was it
Yeah,
Ings did a really good cutback, didn't he? And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was a great. Was it a
That was
great pass from Ramsey? Isn't it into him?
yes.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, that is brilliant. Ramsey driving forward, sliding a pass through to another run. I think that was a diagonal pass to a straight run, but either way, it was just good to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, that was phenomenal. That was a great pass. Yeah, that was a great pass. But yeah, I mean, it's just those incisive passes, and I'm sorry that Sam couldn't make it on, but he's talked about this a lot and talked about kind of, and I'll give him props because he said, there are players in that squad that are better if they're coached better, and I always said it because it comes with trust. If you trust the player on the ball to find you when you make the run, you'll make the run. And it just seems at the moment, Emery is just saying, when we go forward, make runs, make imaginative runs, and I don't care who it is, whether it's McGinn making those runs, whether it's Buendia, whether it's Ramsey, whether it's Ings, or whoever's supplying the pass, make those runs into the box, and we'll get goals from them. And obviously, like I say, going back to the McGinn, he won the penalty. Ings straight down the middle. Keeper gets a hand to it, but no doubt with the penalty. And then we saw out that half. It was fairly end to end, but
Yeah.
it gave us that platform to build on.
Yeah, there was no doubt about it as well, that penalty. I mean, you can just see there's a confidence Ings has got, that he exudes when he steps forward. There's a confidence, and that is why, again, I saw someone put this in the comments, but I totally agree from a goal threat perspective. He's our best goal threat, clearly he is. I mean, obviously Archer we think is really highly rated and remains to see how well he does, but Ings in and around the box, I mean, obviously we'll talk about the second goal properly in detail, but even that just kind of sniffing opportunity out, taking a touch, got a bit lucky with it, but it's getting it out your feet, it's getting a shot away. And I think if we can get creative players setting them up for chances, I think you're back. 6 goals now this season for Ings.
Yeah, he got his 100th career goal as well today, which was a great
Yep.
milestone. And yeah, obviously I've put Ings at the double there. Let's talk about it. And yeah, drop us in the comments what you thought on Ings' performance and what we did to get the best out of him today, because obviously Thursday night he didn't have his greatest game, and unfortunately someone like a Danny Ings, and we've said it on this podcast, is wasted if you don't give him the ball or if you don't get him service. But today I think maybe Emery gave him a little bit more license to drop a bit deeper, and we had runners in beyond him and get him involved in the play a little bit more, and that seemed to help him. And like you said, the move that came in for the goal, obviously Cash does really well down the right, puts a good ball in for Buendia, hits the post with his header. We keep it alive. Louise does to midfielder what was done to him in the first
Yeah,
half.
love that.
Comes into Danny Ings, great composure, deserved his bit of luck. Deflects off Levi Colwell into the goal, and Q limbs in the away end.
Yeah, I think it actually might have gone in if it had been deflected, because it was just a cute little touch, wasn't it? And I think it might have been just past the keeper quick enough. But yeah, I mean, Villa don't do that. I mean, when I was keeping an eye on the game, I was like 1-0 down, 1-0 game, saw all the stats about Brighton, and I thought, wow, we've basically buggered this up, haven't we, already? 60 seconds, and then, before you know it, we're 2-1 up.
Yeah.
Wow, brilliant.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, Buendia with that header. Where'd that come from? That would have been an unbelievable goal.
Players in the box as well, though, Kev. Players in the box. You obviously had Cash in the box who put the cross in. You had Ings in the box. You had Buendia in the box. And I think maybe Ramsey was coming in. So you've got players in the box, and you've got options for that player to get it to. And that's all you're asking for. Barry's asked a question. Ings' last 2 penalties have been straight down the middle. Is that premeditated, or is he seeing the keeper move at the last second?
Do you know what, Barry? It's a good question. I'd have to really analyse it and see it again, because he does seem to favour going down the middle. But obviously, keepers do their homework these days. They've obviously got a lot of coaches and clubs. They'll start to twig that. So maybe he's seen a little bit of movement and waiting for it. The best penalty takers are like that. Look at Ivan Toney's unbelievable, isn't he? I would have had Ivan Toney in the squad just for penalties. It'd be worth having. You got pick one less fullback, and and keep him on and bring him on with 5 minutes to go because you've got a guaranteed goal then. But anyway, there's a quality, I think, and a confidence that comes from a player that is probably going to score a penalty. And Ings' record, and I think that takes him now to. He's got a better than 1 in 4 record for Villa now, so it's getting better for him. It's getting better for him.
It's getting there. T1 said, even though Ollie's a better presser, she's more than confident with him in front of goal. And a good game for Danny Ings. Gary, slightly on the other hand, Ings is okay, but moving forward, he just isn't consistent enough. Same as Watkins and McGinn and a few more as well. And I guess that's the what is it? The $1 million question. Can they get that consistency? Can Emery over this mid-season break instill some consistency into this team? That's the real golden nugget, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, the question is very much, isn't it? Like, are some of these players good enough? And we've had this so long. I've been very much one of the ones that said, sack them all, start again with 3 of them. That'll do. We'll start. We're going by 20 players, Kev. Yeah, that's realistic, isn't it? But also some of these players, Ingsy's 30. Coutinho's 30. Some of these players, Dini, we've talked about, is he good enough? He's 28. 28, 29. Like, these players are still should be in their prime of their careers. And if they've got the right kind of plan behind them, I'd like to still think we could get, if we played to their strengths, get a decent tune out of Danny Ings. But he's on track at the moment for like 18 goals this season, aren't we? We've got about a third of the way through, maybe, not quite. So, I mean, who knows what happens at the end of the season, but I don't think you can write some of these players off if we're playing to the right kind of system. And it still remains to be seen whether we think the players have underperformed for Gerrard, whether Gerrard was actually really the problem. I think we think the coaching wasn't where it needed to be for us. But it'll be really interesting to see where we are come February, March, I think.
It was certainly a combination of everything. And you can see, and we'll get onto it in a second, like in terms of Emery and his tactical tweaks and kind of the game management that we've seen already implemented in this team. You can see where that improvement is coming and has already happened. But we've got great numbers watching at the moment, nearly 70 of you watching, which is phenomenal. Please, if you haven't already, please drop a like on the video. Please subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to, we're obviously on the road to 1,000, but if we can get to 700 first, little steps, that'd be amazing. So if you haven't subscribed already, please drop us a subscribe. We're so grateful for everyone's support. We love the comments that are coming in. They just make the show. So yeah.
Rich, sorry, mate. Just confirm, mate. You generally do have to get to 700 before you get to 1,000.
You definitely do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you thought we could go past 1,000, but just confirm,
yeah. My math. I was just checking my maths.
Sorry, mate. Easy.
Get your own back on me for your joke the other day.
Oh, my Forrest Gump joke. Yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah. But no, I guess with regards to Emery in terms of closing that game out, bringing Ashley Young on, to cement us down their left-hand side, our right-hand side, going 5 at the back, almost then going kind of 6 at the back, making a triple substitution, with Dendoncker, I think, came on, Leon Bailey came on, Augustinson came on, just closing that game out. I get it's a little bit of a risk, but it's just those, I don't know, I guess it's just that kind of being proactive and not just hoping for the win. It's kind of doing something to ensure we get the win.
Well, it's proper coaching, isn't it? It was a comment that Ross made on the pod the other night after the Man United win. It's a coach having a plan. It's proper coaching. It's doing stuff that you think is going to get you the result at the end. And of course, if you do get hit and you end up losing the game 3-2, then you'll call it possibly negative. But we didn't, so therefore we can look at it as being a shrewd, clever way of doing it. And again, like we said at the start of the pod, it's not something that Aston Villa have generally been very good at. So it is refreshing to see a little bit of shithousery from us.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the bookings. We talked about, Martinez, a little bit of time wasting. He loves going down with that injury with like 10 minutes to go. But I mean, we still had 1 or 2, forays forward. I think Ashley Young had a shot that just went wide. I think we had 1 or 2 corners as well. So, bringing on a player like Bailey, or if you flip it and you have a player like Buendia or Cameron Archer coming on, you've still got that threat of some pace in behind, haven't you? So
Yeah,
Brighton couldn't just constantly go forward, forward, forward.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you what was also as good as well is that you're still seeing that playing out from the back, which it's clearly a hallmark of what Emery wants to do. But and of course, we considered a goal from it. But you got to get a bit of pain sometimes. And I know there's been a lot said that that's what cost him his job at Arsenal. And yeah, listen, there's a long way to go, but a lot of these teams do it. A lot of the best teams do it.
Yeah,
Man City, Liverpool are very, very good at it. And if you start to concede a few goals from it, then you'll start to get a bit of pressure. But it does seem to create a bit of space. Obviously, that's the whole point of it, and open it up for you then to be able to play, get past that first line, then you're in. So I think that's good to see as well. It's good to see a bit of a plan around that kind of thing.
100%. Let's get into some of the stats then, just to kind of analyze what we did in the game. So yeah, just having a look here. So we looked at, obviously, Brighton lion's share possession 65% to 34.9% for Villa. 2 shots on target each. We had more shots than them, so obviously a little bit more clinical in our attack, and that was one of the things that commentators were saying. Particularly the second half. I think it was Levi Colwell had a free header, but that was the only real chance they had in the second half.
Yeah.
So that showed how we kept them at arm's length for the majority of the second half. I guess looking here, that they had more passes than us, quite a few more passes. But look at this tackles and clearances. That
Yeah.
shows how much we were working and how hard we were working to win the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about that again is it's the possession stats because we've got not 40% possession, but we've obviously won the game. Amount of times, again, I made this point after the Man United game. In the Man United game, we didn't have as much possession as them. I think it was maybe sort of 50-50, whatever. But normally Villa have been having so much possession and then doing nothing with it. So it's just nice to be in a situation where you don't need the ball all the time. It's all Brighton have been bad for this. They've been known for not scoring too many goals, although they've addressed that in the last few month or so. But generally, they have loads of the ball and get frustrated at the end. It's what you do with the ball. It's what you do with those attacking moments that counts.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great.
Brilliant. And just a little head-to-head look at 7 games played across. I don't know if this is just Premier League or what,
This
or
must be Premier League, I think.
recent times. Total wins 4 for Villa, only 1 for Brighton. We've won 2 at home, 2 away, and we've had 2 draws. And obviously, recently we've had a good record against them.
Yeah. Well, this will be Premier League, won't it? Because obviously we were away for 3 years, and then they've obviously come up in
we did okay against them when we first came up as well. I remember we beat them with the last minute goal from Matty Target, and then I think Grealish scored on a 1-1 draw at their place. So we've generally done well against Brighton.
Yeah, I love that Grealish goal. Kind of smashed it with his left foot.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
loved it. That was peak Grealish. Yeah.
We can't help talk about it, can we?
No, it's all right.
But yeah,
right.
we've
it
shows. Yeah, it carries on the record that we've got against them, and obviously, long may that continue.
Yeah, I thought I'll probably 2 of our best performances last season were Brighton home and away. So I just think it's brilliant to see that there's a team that Man United have been in good form lately, and we beat them in that league game, I think, fairly convincingly. Brighton have been in really good form under De Zerbi lately, and again, we've won that game. I'm not saying it was an absolute canter, but to come back from behind, the character that we've showed to come back from behind, that's a thing that's been levelled at this Villa team many, many times in the past. What kind of character have they got? Are they real men? Are they've had that question quite a bit. They showed some good character today. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, and that's we'll talk or go into some comments with so many coming in, but first of all, and individual performances as well. But yeah, that character and that we talked about kind of experiences that players have to go through, and achieving those all in one game almost. Winning the first game away from home, winning from a goal down. A player a striker scoring 2 goals in a game. All those experiences have come in one game. And so they've got that reference point to go back to now. They can always say, look, we went 1-0 down in the first minute and we won the game. So if that ever happens again, we know we can go out and do it again and hold on to that victory.
Yeah, absolutely. You start to get rid of some of these unwanted records, don't you? And that's really important to believe that we can win away now. And I think we should absolutely, we've got a great bit of time. We should have absolutely no fear. Liverpool will be coming to Villa Park on Boxing Day, and that team should have all the support of those fans. Full of Christmas pudding and turkey and a little bit of Bucks fizz behind them. Under the lights, Villa Park against a team that have not been in amazing form. A lot of their players will be at the World Cup. I think we've got to fancy our chances. Then away to Tottenham. Again, Tottenham have not been in the best of form. Away to Tottenham on New Year's Day. You've got to fancy, whereas a few weeks ago, we were looking Brighton, Man United. Jesus, you can't beat Forest. You can't beat Bournemouth. Now it feels different. Then you got Wolves at home. By the way, I'm not saying for 1 second that Liverpool and Tottenham are going to be easy games.
No, but there's going to be one or two funny results when on that resumption of the Premier League, and why can't we get that win?
Wolves at home, Leeds at home, Southampton away.
Yeah.
So you've got an opportunity there if you can get a positive result. Even if you don't lose to Liverpool, don't lose to Spurs, you start to put some runs together. Let's not forget as well, there'll be probably some work going on in this break to be looking at players we can bring in to support the squad. So it might be a slightly different look, Aston Villa, as well come January.
Yeah, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, some great comments coming in. Richard Edwards, who's joining us. Good win, dogged defence, set up properly by Unai Emery. He's a Jedi master. Can't see what he can get out of these players now going away to Dubai. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Can't wait to see. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Michael, Villa Park had the nickname the Red Brick Place. Arsenal have Trust the Process. So I think we should adopt the saying. Unai Emery, the Red Brick Palace wasn't built in a day. Well, yeah, he's got some work to do, but he's definitely showing the signs. Absolutely. Season isn't lost. Emery can turn it. Yeah, 100%. And how mad is it to do positive podcasts like regularly now?
Unbelievable,
Kev?
Unbelievable. Yeah. I can't get my head around it. I'm also looking at our last 5 games. We've won 3. We've won 3 of our last 5. Mm-hmm. Wow, it's unbelievable. 3 of the last 4, haven't we? Really, so.
Yeah, in the Prem, yeah. Most important thing to remember is that we can't play pretty football every week. We'll have to grind out results just as we did today, and Emery knows this. That's why he's a great tactician. Yeah, definitely. Rachel agreeing with you, Kev. It's not how much possession you have; it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
Offsides only 1 is much better. Watkins was a shocker for being caught. Interesting, and that's what you get from the runs from deep. If you make those diagonal runs or those curve runs, then you've got less chance of being caught offside. So that's excellent. Aaron saying we're going to beat Liverpool 3-2. Yeah, let's hope so. we do that level of shithousery against Liverpool and Klopp will explode and start swinging some hands and get a long touchline ban. Let's hope so, Mark. Let's hope so.
Great comment, Mark. That I would love to see that. It was great to see. Obviously, the frustration when we Ronaldo. Obviously, when we played Man United, so it'd be good to see Klopp losing his mind as well.
Yeah. Everyone says football is a simple game. The problem has been our managers have just looked at our players and hoped for someone to do magic, but our boss isn't like that. He's a tactician.
He is.
Yeah, and you can see, he'll use players for certain things. He's not afraid to bring certain players on. As I said, he's not afraid to make triple substitutions, that kind of thing. I get the impression he's not going to be afraid to make changes at half time, probably even like in the first half if something's not working, which again is something that we've never had.
Yeah, I mean, the manager doing management, who'd have thought it? Crazy.
Yeah. Performances wise, I've starred a few here. So yeah, a couple of special mentions. Gaz has mentioned surprised to see McGinn, but he did a job in there. Was great at time wasting at the end of the match when we needed it most too. Gary saying first time watching Kamara properly today, and he looks the real deal. Duncan says Kamara and Dendoncker will be the pivot going forward. It frees Dougie up too. T1, the only thing Gerrard did right was bringing in Kamara and Carlos. I'm happy for the break. When we come back, we are cooking. Yeah, Kamara was excellent for me. Gary agreeing that McGinn played pretty well. And Deontay, there were a lot of people complaining about Emery starting 11 for this game. I bet they're not moaning now. It was a tough battle. Past the big test will get better. Yeah, it was a real team performance, but I think McGinn's coming for a lot of criticism. I think he worked really hard today. I think Konsa was excellent today. Fullbacks were good, against a couple of tough players in Trossard. Um, I know Mitomo didn't play. That would have been that was a big loss for us. But yeah, I mean they're very good down each flank, and they brought Lamptey on as well. But Kamara for me was standout, and you can see the quality.
I like the way when he just plays those first time balls, the confidence of like the way to pass just first time. It can make a massive difference, can't it? It just rather than taking a touch. He does look like he's really really going to grow into that team. It was nice. I know there should be no sentiment because we're trying to win Premier League games, and obviously the job's on the line. But it was nice for McGinn, I think, after the season he's had so far, to be in the team, to play a good part of a win the last game before the World Cup, before he goes off, obviously off with Scotland to Qatar to try and win the. Oh no, sorry, they didn't qualify. Sorry, that was bad. Sorry for any Scots fans. That was a real cheap gag, that wasn't it? Real cheap gag. And you know what? I'm all about cheap gags. So if you don't like it,
you are, mate. You gotta have one an episode. You know, we've got to let you have one an episode.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Can
I just going to say as also, mate, I thought that I think the fullbacks have looked better lately as well.
Yeah. I thought Cash was very good. Luca Dean, actually, sorry, I meant to point him out, but yeah, really solid, and maybe we talk about players not always playing well, but maybe he was carrying a slight knock, maybe he wasn't fully fit, but it certainly seems to have come back firing, and he was really solid today. He seems to have got like extra half a yard of pace.
Yeah. The players also, they seem a bit happier.
Well, I mean, winning games comes with that, but I know also like I 100% agree with you. Like maybe it was, I don't know whether there was. Maybe they listened to Gerrard to a certain extent, but maybe they just didn't buy into the coaching staff. Maybe they just didn't like Neil Critchley. I don't know, but like you say, there seems to be a plan. There seems to be a real kind of buy-in to what is being told to them. And whereas sometimes under the previous management, it was almost like it was off the cuff, it was disjointed. That comes from mixed messaging, and it seems much more unified at the moment.
Yeah, and it was rare. I know there's always going to be under any manager. It could be anybody in charge of a team could bring on a sub, and the sub could score, and they go, "Oh my god, what unbelievable management!" You knew that, Rory Delap was going to score that last minute winner, didn't you, Tony Pulis? Like, you can always give credit where credit maybe isn't due, but I don't think we've seen anywhere near in the whole of Gerrard's reign the tactical flexibility and the ideas that Emery's brought in. And in fact, in many ways, what pleased me about it is I did think possibly there'll be more wholesale changes, and therefore, he's taken stock of what's there. He's picked a lot of the same players, but they're just playing a bit differently. A bit more of an idea, and that is really positive. I'll tell you what's also really interesting as well. Obviously, a lot of comments about Carlos to come back, guys. Totally agree. I'm so looking forward to seeing how Carlos will play. Carlos, I don't think he ever played for Emery at Sevilla. I think his time at Sevilla was before Carlos's time there. But, he's used to, I guess, playing for a team, obviously, like Sevilla, who've got success, and he's going to get a manager there who had great success with the club. So there's clearly a bit of a link there. Who's our centre-half partnership going to be? And as has been rumoured, will we end up buying another centre-half to partner Carlos? What do you reckon, mate?
I don't know. It's a weird one because, as you know, Mings, as we've always said, is 100% man. He was. There was one part today where it summed him up in like 30 seconds. He makes a great tackle. He then tries an extra touch, gives it away, brings the players down, gives away a free kick, gets a yellow card. They put the free kick in, and he wins the header. And it's just that just sums him up. So you have to take the rough with the smooth a little bit with Mings. Konsa has been up and down, but today he was back to his absolute best. Marked Welbeck absolutely totally out of the game, and then he had to come off. And then you've got Carlos to come in. It's a great problem to have, and let alone that you've got Bednarek, who's an international centre back, and you've got Chambers, who's probably dropped back in the pecking order now. So it's difficult to say. I mean, there's been rumours of like Pau Torres, but they're probably lazy links because of Villarreal. I don't think our centre back pairings are the priority. I think we need a strong, fast centre forward who we can knock balls into and change the option if we need to. I think we need another potential wide man to change tactics, to use pace, and then another maybe strong central midfielder and fullback. I guess that would be my thing. I don't necessarily think priority is our centre halves at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
But saying that, ball playing,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree, mate. I don't think it is a priority, but I think like a lot of times, if someone comes available, then do you bring someone in? But yeah, I totally agree. I think we've got links. The most important thing I think is another winger, because at the moment we've got one, and I think that is it's a big thing. I think there's been a lot of talk about another striker, so it remains to be seen whether he does just go for that. And I think that probably another number 8 type player. So it'll be interesting, really. I do think as well, whether this will happen, but I do think we need a better backup goalie from what I've seen so far.
100. Yeah, 100%. But is he gonna spend 5-6 million on a backup? I don't know. But yeah, maybe you could get someone in on loan. We'll see.
Yeah.
Richard's mentioned Coutinho there in question marks. He's injured. He's injured for a good 12 weeks, I think. So I'm not sure about that. Duncan, Pau Torres rumoured and will be excellent. I think Rachel said they're probably a little bit too much to prize him away. Richard again said a winger in January. Yeah, Hazard has been rumoured, linked. I don't know if that again is an agent kind of testing the bait. It's always Newcastle and Villa that get linked to these players, and that's who's being linked to Hazard. I personally can't see it.
No.
Sarr, I could probably see, especially if it's a name that's we've scouted and Emery will get given names, and maybe it's one that we'll go back in for. Yeah, Mings and Carlos will be cooking just based on how they look, but Mings needs to get better. He's too slow with the ball. I totally agree. Duncan said Chukwueze too. I think he's been linked, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really random reviews is back watching us. Thanks very much for tuning in. Great result today that put me in another splendid mood. Got loads done tonight. Yeah. Bednarek must be fuming knowing he's going to go back to Southampton in the summer. You never know. We might get him in. He probably needs to get a few more games under his belt. Rachel agreeing with we need wingers or forward with pace. And not sold on Olsen. And yeah, T wants to know to Hazard. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be interested. We'll do a show. Over the coming weeks, I'm sure, mate, on transfer rumours. Maybe we'll do some little shows on whoever we're getting linked with. We might do some like little short shows, like back in giving some data on them and information on them.
Yeah.
But that'll come in the next few weeks, and we'll also, I'm sure, we'll do a bit of a review on the season so far. I mean, not much has happened really, has it? To be fair.
No, mate. No, not really. It's been a fairly quiet season. Just keeping the lights ticking. My God, it's been all sorts, isn't there? All sorts.
Yeah, we might have to split it up into like three parts, but we'll see. I just wanted to finish with a message, a comment from Duncan, and just to end on some real positivity. And it's amazing what a few wins does and what a few weeks does. But yeah, this comment here: with 3 points off the Euro spots, plus the January transfer windows, and we still have the FA Cup, this can still be a great season.
Absolutely it can. We're 18 points, we're only 4 points off 6th in Liverpool. So there's absolutely loads to play for. Consistency is the key. But again, like we said many times, if Villa want to really truly kick on, and I do look at this, sorry, it's probably longer rants than you expected. I look back to under John Gregory when we didn't get Janino, when we were top of the league at Christmas. I look back under Dean Smith when we had that unbelievable start to the season and then it dropped off. And Gerrard came in. We had a real, was it like 4 wins out of the first 6, dropped off. Aston Villa, historically, Martin O'Neill would be fading as of, March time, whatever. I think that if we can kick on this season, second half of the season, and have a really strong finish, that puts you in a position and gives you a platform to get even better players in, start to push towards Europe, if not quite Europe this season, to get this plan that the manager wants under what the owner's remit is. So I look at this and think to myself, this is a critical time now. You can't, in any way, shape, or form, write this season off and say, "Oh, Emery's building." We've got an opportunity to do something this season, and even a top 10 finish would be great. If we could go any higher than that this season, still got the FA Cup to come. We've got to start acting now like the club that we want to be, and I think that's a big thing. I really like the phrase "act as if." Act as if you're the manager in the company you're working for. Act as if you are if you want to be the best you can at football. Act as if you are a professional footballer. Eat right and all that kind of stuff. We've got to act as if we are a European team now. We might not be one yet, but we've got to act as if.
Well, it's going to be certainly interesting over the coming weeks. We couldn't have left ourselves in a better position. The comments have been phenomenal tonight. The viewers' numbers has been absolutely amazing. So, as I said before, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for getting involved in the show. As I said, please drop a like on the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We will be back with Gareth, the stat man, and the analyst to give his view on what went right, what we need to improve on, and how we won the game today. So look out for that video coming through, and I'm sure we'll be back for some reviews of the season so far, transfer rumors, you name it, we'll be back. So stay tuned on the channel. Kev, it's been great having you on, mate. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thanks for the comments, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it all.
Yeah, and keep with the channel, and remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.